After Innovation's crushing defeat of Dark in Game 3, can the Korean Macro Zerg recover on Habitation Station? We're about to find out. And I'm Venomous your caster for this game between two Korean legends, one of them a multi-time GSL champion, that's Innovation here in the top right. His opponent, probably one of the best Zergs to learn the game from, a player who, despite doing some crazy pool first openings and bizarre roach cheeses, is someone who scouts probably the best and most consistently out of anyone I've ever seen. It's Dark. He's won an SSL, which is a very impressive and prestigious Korean tournament. But Innovation has actually won multiple GSLs, which is the most prestigious StarCraft 2 tournament. And if you don't know what the GSL is, I definitely encourage you to go seek that out. It's the highest level of StarCraft 2 that there is, casted by the best casters, Tasteless and Artosis. And if you just look up Africa TV, you can find GSL. And both of these players have qualified for the next season of GSL, which is starting, I think, January 4th of 2017 this year. Innovation is going for a Reaper expand as usual, and he's making a factory and a reactor, so we might actually see the same mech based play that we saw in the previous 3 games. Lings are out on the map here for Dark, and he might actually run them around the long way to try to delay this base. I don't know if he'll make it in time. The Reaper is here for Innovation, and the fact that this hatchery is not yet finished means that Innovation, an absolute master of a player, can deduce simply by that little variation in timing that pool first was the choice of the Zerg player, and that's why he immediately hightailed it back with his Reaper. And he's kind of thinking, well, where the hell were the Lings? They were supposed to be here, and they're kind of sitting in the bottom of the map. That's a bit odd. Maybe Dark wanted to hide them and he wants to scout in the mid game or something. I don't know. But Innovation did have to go all the way back, so Dark wasn't harried or harassed. He was able to transfer drones out here, get his first creep tumor down. And Innovation is definitely going for the same style, this 2-factory aggression. And okay, he wanted to run in and snipe a mule, that's what it was. So Dark playing a little bit of mind games with Innovation here, and he picks off the mule, which is very irritating because of how much minerals that the mule gets you early on in the game. And Innovation is going to be chased. He's going to try to delay the third. And of course the Hellion cleaned up that measly 2 Ling dealio. But Dark did kill the mule, and if you're thinking, oh, it's 1 mule, who the hell cares? Well, the earlier on in the game it is, the more important workers are. And what I mean by that is, like, at 4 minutes in the game or 2 minutes in the game, 2 or 3 workers is actually kind of a big deal. It's not like 8 minutes in the game where 2 or 3 workers is kind of insignificant. So killing that mule early on was a lot of boosted income that Innovation really wanted. And actually, Dark's going to get in again. So whereas in game 1, things went Dark's way, he got the drops off and was able to win. Games 2 and 3, Innovation really played masterfully and everything went well. In this game we really see Innovation's having some more trouble. It's looking a lot more like game 1, where Innovation was not necessarily in control of the game the whole time like we saw in games 2 and 3. So Dark is actually making a pretty damn good case for a game 5. You want to make sure to subscribe to this channel and click the bell notification if you have not already, and if you have, leave a like rating. I really appreciate that a lot when I see those likes come in. Push at the third base of Dark. He already has some queens out here. He already has roaches, ravagers, lings, creep spread. He's very good at defending this one. But he will lose an overlord, can't really do much about that. Does not have his overlord speed yet, oddly enough. He's teching into lair is what he actually wants to do. He's been forced to make roaches as well, so whenever you don't see Dark get that early overlord speed, consider what did he get instead, and it's actually roaches and lair and all that good stuff. He will send a slow overlord in, and see what is the haps. But he's going to continue to make roaches and a few drones and try to defend over here at this third base. And this is a pretty hard base to defend because of this high ground. And Innovation is going to press into the third, but Kreutzspurt is already there. Queen's the transfuser there as well. And Dark is going to do his best to transfuse his little heart out and defend. He has Overlords on the way. And Dark, I think he might have been supply blocked for a little bit, but notice as soon as the Hellbats die, Innovation has to retreat. The crux of this Hellion Cyclone composition is really how you control your Hellbats and how many Hellbats you have. The Cyclones are incredibly powerful and they do the most damage, but the amount of Hellbats you have is extremely important, because if you don't have the Hellbats, you don't have the tank. And even if you fight straight up Queen, Roach, Ravager into Cyclone, even though the Cyclone does pretty well versus those units and does a lot of damage, oftentimes a Zerg can win because of Corrosive Bile. What that means is if you have the Hellbats in front, they can provide the tanking that you need to really stay in the face of Zerg and prevent Zerg from winning those engagements, and really prevent Zerg from using Zerglings in any sort of capacity. And they have to make a bunch of queens. Not to say that queens aren't good, but the thing about a queen is you make it one at a time out of each hatch. And Dark, of course, wants to do other things with the hatcheries, like make lair, like get OV speed, like get burrow. And Innovation is going to poke around, see that fourth base. Dark has great saturation. He started 1-1. He is teching into Hive already, so at 7:30, Dark's Hive is completing the 1/3 mark. And he's doing very well. He's teching into Infestor. He has Burrow. This is scary stuff here for Innovation, because if his army gets to a point where it's going to get fungled from below ground, that's going to be something that could be game losing. And Dark is going to try to defend some harass over here down south, but he's going to push in. Here is Innovation. No Hellbats here, which is interesting. He just has pure Cyclone. If we go to units, the Hellions are at home because Dark has been running at the front door. And this is another very interesting thing. Dark has been counterattacking a lot this game, and Innovation's extremely good. This is one of the things he's best at, as defending these Ling run-bys. So he's been leaving his Hellions there to defend, so they've been inconsequential for the most part, but it means that Innovation hasn't been able to pressure as much as he normally would be. And Dark has some Infestors sharking around out here. If this whole army gets fungled, Innovation could just get eviscerated because of Corrosive Bile. And this is very dangerous. A scan. Ooh, a big fungal on the ramp. And Corrosive Bile come down, and wow, a lot of damage. But Innovation's going to run up the ramp anyway. Another fungal going down. But Dark didn't really have that many units. He had a lot of wonderfully placed Infestors, and by a lot I mean 2, but my goodness, they were in a sweet spot. And Dark did everything perfectly there, but if he had about 20 more roaches, he just would have laughed Innovation out of the game, I feel. But instead, he got a nice fungal off, did some damage, but didn't kill a whole lot of units. As it stands, though, Dark has a solid macro footing. Innovation is doing his thing that he's been doing in the previous games. He's got his 3 factories making tanks. Blue Flame is on the way. Third base pumping away with the beautiful Sim City. But at the same time, Dark is doing the same things that won him the first game, which is Burrowed Roach harassment. But Innovation is all over this. Give me a break. He already has a turret. He already has siege tanks. But oh, this is why Burrowed Roaches are so irritating. Even though Innovation had his army parked here with a turret, he still had to waste a scan, and he ended up friendly firing 2 SCVs. So Dark is going to aggress here. He has full energy Vipers. Inno has to be careful. He lost game 1 by clumping his tanks. He could very easily lose game 2. This game is looking a lot like game 1, where Dark has a lot of money. He's maxed out. He's in the driver's seat. He's using Abduct. He has Vipers out. He's picking off viable units. Look at this. She's picking Inno apart for free. Throws down Corrosive Biles. And some Roach Burrowed harassment being used here. He picks off a few SCVs and then picks off a tank or 2. This is beautiful stuff from Dark. A fourth base is trying to be established as a PF, and this can get tricky if this does get set up here for Inno, because he can set up mines and tanks up here too. And Innovation, he's going to try to set up a foothold in the middle of the map. Dark has a lot of units. He's running around with Roach Ravager, and once again those Vipers are going to be very scary. That extremely early hive meant that Dark could get these spellcasters, and he's running around with more Brood units. Scan going down onto the Infestors, but these Vipers are still unseen, and a turret is down at this PF base, so nothing is going to happen here. Actually, I think Dark can position his Roaches right here, but big engagement here. I'm going to have to rewind. My bad. So Dark can position up here, but it's pretty inconsequential. Both players jockeying for position. Siege tanks getting siege in the middle of the map. And okay. So Innovation sieges up here, which is odd because there is a high ground right here. And Dark, of course, is going to run around onto the high ground. Actually, no, with the scan going down, he's not. He's going to run back, but here we go. Engagement going down, and these tanks once again are going to be completely useless with the blinding cloud on top of them. And Innovation supply is at 140, as about 6 tanks completely didn't fire a single shot and did nothing. And even then, the Zerg army was completely stomped out. The only reason that we see the supply at such a big gap is because 36 Roaches are on the way for Dark, and Roaches are going to be the choice because obviously they can be made into Ravagers, a unit that Dark has been using a lot versus Mech. He's been using it to slow down Mech and scare the Mech player, but they produce very quickly too. Oftentimes if you lose a big fight and try to remax on Ultra or something, forget about it, they just take too long to make. But Innovation doesn't actually have many tanks. He's going to get flanked from a huge concave from the Zerg, and suddenly Dark is going to crush all of this army from Inno, and Inno is down to 113 supply. He's going to run up Hellbats to this gold base, but it's not really going to do anything, as Dark very intelligently burrows his drones and then runs them away, even with some transfuse. So Dark is just putting on a clinic here. He was able to keep Innovation on the back foot, and that seems to be the difference between winning or losing here, is how much Dark can get under Innovation's skin. Because in game 1 he used a lot of burrowed Roach harass, in this game he's used a lot of burrowed harass, and Innovation's going to try to siege, but once again Dark has a huge supply lead, and even though Innovation spreads his tanks out pretty well, Dark is going to be able to put down the blinding cloud and bring the hammer down onto Innovation, the Terran macro monster. So subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the 5th and final game of this series, because Innovation, he's down by 70 supply. He GG, so you have to subscribe, click that bell notification, follow me on gab.ai and vid.me as well. You can't miss the conclusion of this series. The best of 5 is tied 2-2. Innovation's been using aggressive, interesting to watch Mech. Wow, can you believe that? Usually whenever you see Mech, it's pure cancer. So subscribe for that 5th game.